Is the political pendulum actually maybe swinging back the other way? I don't know. There are some things that show that it could. Everybody, we're going to cover all that and more on today's episode of Speechless, Cut for Time. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in and checking out Speechless, Cut for Time. This is, again, one of those videos where I couldn't get this story into my full live stream, but I wanted to bring you the content. So here is the story. But first, everybody, a reminder, this show is brought to you by Paul Garcia Productions out of Central Illinois. You can go into the comments, check out his stuff. Paul Garcia Productions will help your business get more business. Love Paul, great guy. Check out his stuff in the description of this video. But let's get right on into it. The pendulum might actually be swinging back the other way. I mean, we've been noticing with Bud Light, the boycott, it's working. Bud Light is in shambles right now, consistently trying to do damage control after damage control after damage control because they had Dylan Mulvaney as a new influencer for them. We have Target, who's also doing damage control. We have multiple companies that are taking down their pride decorations and everything like that. And so the pendulum on especially social conservatism might be swinging the other way. Starting to look at this graph out of Gallup, I want everybody to see this. This is showing Americans' views on the morality of same-sex relations by political party. As you can see, Democrats have always been much more favorable of same-sex relations, hitting almost a peak at one point here in the late 2010s of just over 80%. We had Republicans hitting their peak more recently, probably around 2021, where it's hitting close to almost 60% there, and moderates always being growing a little bit. And the reason why it was growing here, everybody, the reason why this support was growing for so long was because people started thinking, okay, like gay marriage was legalized and people realized, oh, it's not like, whatever, who really cares? It's like people are just living their lives, having a good time. Who cares? Not my life, not my problem. But more recently, it started to become shoved down our throats. And so that's reflected here in this graph. You can see it right here in this graph. You see almost everybody, except for maybe independents. Independents are pretty stagnant, but you see even Democrats have a bit of a dip. Republicans have a sharp dip from the close to 60% there down to 41% in support. And you want to know why this is? You want to know why? If you're out there and you're like, man, all these Republicans just must be hateful and intolerant bigots. That's what some people are probably saying, but it's not quite that. It's not quite that. I mean, if you consider wanting some level of public decency and rationality in society to be hateful and full of bigotry, then yes, maybe we are. But here's really what the issue is. It's things like this. And I'm going to warn you, this is a little graphic, but it's things like this happening at pride parades and such. Yes, where you have people that are dressed incredibly inappropriately and performing practically sexual activity in the middle of a street, in this case, in a truck bed at a pride parade. People don't want to see that. People don't want to see that in public, period. Sexual depravity. I don't care if you're straight, gay, bi, whatever you think you are, it's that is inappropriate for society. And because things like that have been shoved down our throats and you're called, that's the other thing too, everybody. I'm sorry, I just hit my mic a little bit there, but that's the other thing too. People are called, if you don't support that, if you say, I don't really think that the pride movement aligns with me, that's not really my thing, then you're a homophobe to these people. That's what they say. You are homophobic if you don't support that. It's insanity, but the pendulum is swinging, everybody. People are, more and more of society is starting to say, hey, we got a problem here. I had no problem when it was you getting married, having a good time. I had somebody respond to one of my videos saying that, well, you're just telling people to stay in the closet. No, I'm not. I'm not telling people to stay in the closet. I'm just saying people don't want it shoved down their throats in public like this. Period. The first thing I know about you shouldn't be your sexuality. Because when I look at like one of my coworkers, or when I look at somebody that I go to school with, that I'm in the classroom with, my first thought isn't, man, I wonder who they like to have sex with. No, it's not. My first thought when I meet somebody new is this going to be a nice person? Sexuality shouldn't define everything about your identity. It doesn't have to. I'm not going out in the street saying, look how straight I am. Look how straight I am. No one cares. No one flipping cares. But it seems like they just want to, but there's not everyone, but the pride movement, again, separate from the whole level of gay, lesbian people, the pride movement wants to shove these kinds of ideas down people's throat. It makes it so that you have to accept. There's no longer tolerance in society, anybody. It's not about tolerating somebody. It's not about, okay, we can coexist, we can live amicably. No, now it's accept me or you're a bigot. That's what we live in now. And people are getting fed up with it. Out of the Daily Wire, the number of socially conservative Americans is currently at its highest level since 2020 or 2012, according to a poll. June 13th, 2023 is when this came out. The number of Americans who identify as socially conservative has reached its highest level since 2012, according to a Gallup poll released last week. The numbers are part of Gallup's Values and Beliefs Survey, which was conducted between May 1st and May 24th with a random sample of over 1,000 respondents. It found that 38% of Americans identify as either very conservative or regularly conservative. And that's up from 33% in 2022. That's a 5% increase in 1 year, less than a year. 30% since 2021. So that's 8% in 2 years, and tied 2020 or 2012 numbers. This comes as Americans who identify as very liberal or liberal dropped from 29% from 34%. So people that are identifying as liberal is dropping. And that was all in 2022. So it dropped like 6%, 5%. Sorry, I'm not a math major. 5% in a year. For the most part of the past 8 years, Americans were about as likely to say they were liberal as conservative on social issues, Gallup senior editor Jeffrey Jones said. This year, there is a more obvious conservative advantage. The shift is mostly due to increased social conservatism among Republicans at a time when social issues such as transgender rights, abortion, and other hot-button concerns are prominent in the national public debate. Absolutely. Social conservatism for Americans between the ages of 18 and 29, my generation, everybody, who's thought to be this very liberal generation, had a 6% increase since 2021. While those aged 30 to 49 saw a 13% increase, and those aged 50 to 64 saw an 11% increase. So yes, maybe my age group isn't as conservative yet, but we're starting to be. As people my age start becoming taxpayers and contributing society and starting to realize, hey, I don't really like some of these things that are being pushed. It is growing. It is growing, everybody. The conservative movement is growing, and my generation is a part of it. Absolutely. We just need people to see. Here's the thing is, this happened like they said with social conservatism, transgender rights, abortion, transgenderism. I'm going to get to that one, actually. I'm going to go to abortion first. We have Governor Ralph Northam a few years ago, who, when talking about abortion, said you could swaddle a baby after it's born and consider whether or not you want it to live. When you have things like that going on, people are like, oh, maybe that's not for me. Maybe I don't actually agree with the murder of babies. Maybe I don't like that, Because back when Bill Clinton was president, this is a conservative stance nowadays, Bill Clinton used to say safe, legal, rare. And that's something a lot of people can get behind, but you can't get behind, let's swaddle it and maybe we'll decide whether or not we want to let it live. That's insanity. And people are starting to say, no. We're going to fight against that. We're going to vote against that. And it's going to happen. When it comes to the issue of transgender rights, it'd be one thing if they were like, okay, after you're over 18, once you're an adult, decide what you want to do. Just don't make it my thing. But alas, we have things like this. This came out of a podcast back in February, podcast some younger people listen to. Very mixed reviews on the actual content within it. But I want to share it because I think it's really interesting. It's called the Whatever Podcast. And one of the members who's a man, biological man, was asked the question if he would rather have intercourse with the hottest trans woman in the world or the oldest woman, biological woman in the world. And here is his response that seemed to cause a whole lot of controversy. So here's that.
Chase, would you rather smash the hottest trans woman in the world or the oldest woman in the world? Honestly, bro, the oldest woman in the world, because then I wouldn't be gay.
What?
Gets a little vulgar here.
You really just want me to just rip you a fucking new one. I swear to God.
Are you like, Chase,
Yeah.
how dare you be transphobic?
Yes, actually. What the fuck do you mean? Yes, that was
Because
so
if I had
unnecessary.
sex with a trans woman, I'd be having sex with a biological man, and I don't want to do that.
The question is,
That's not what you said, though. That's fine. If that's
Because
what you
I'd
want
be
to say.
gay if I had sex
That's
with a
not
biological
gay.
man.
That's not gay.
That's
And I don't
gay.
even care if you're doing this for like whatever, but like shut the fuck up. Actually,
I'm doing
You
it
look
for
like
what
you have a
Hey,
loose
need to
why
respect
No,
his
why don't-
street
that's too far.
identity.
That's
why
too
don't you
fucking
why don't
far.
you make me
That's
shut
too
the
far.
fuck up? Because I have an opinion that differs from yours.
And she rage
She's
quit. She
right.
leaves.
I mean, that's really
But
hateful,
she's
bro.
not. She's not. It would technically be homosexual. A trans woman is a biological man. Sue me. It's true.
Fuck, dude, that's mean. I also gotta go.
It's
I gotta
not
go.
fucked up. It's real.
That's
It's
his-
true.
Okay, if you guys want to
It's
respect gender
factual.
identities, that's his though. That's his sexuality.
I'm not allowed to say that. I'm not allowed to say that.
Yes, from a biological woman who doesn't even have any trans friends, that was too fucking far.
What?
A man of God who doesn't judge a Christian, yeah.
Yeah, you know what God said? It said He made them man and women. He made them man and woman.
He made
I
them
just
man
told you I'm
and
not
woman.
gay. I'll pass on that. Thanks though. Who knew that stating biological facts would make people walk off the show?
Who knew that stating biological facts would make people walk off the show? Absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's why I'm saying that we have a lot more people that are saying, you know what, maybe I'm more of a conservative. Because I think if I were to have sex with a biological man who identifies and pretends to be a woman, that would make me be gay. And I'm not gay. That's not who I am. And so call me hateful if I don't want to have sex with a biological man. This girl literally walked off the show because he had this to say, and she wouldn't respect his sexuality. No, think about that. She wouldn't respect his sexuality. His sexuality is that he's only attracted to real women, biological women. But she wouldn't respect that. She gets all mad and then tries to invoke Christ in it. You're not supposed to judge because you're a Christian. You're not supposed to judge. Then he throws it right back at her and created man and woman. Right there. That perfect example of why the pendulum is swinging back. People are more socially conservative today than they have been since 2012. And it's because they keep shoving it down our throats. So happy Pride Month, everybody. And please, 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 if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Check out one of the videos that's going to be popping up on the side. Thank you so much. I'm Kev Phares, and you've watched Speechless. Cut for Time.